Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BaHaShem, YAHAWASHI. It's all due to the Most High, through the name of the Son, YAHAWASHI. This is Rayabya Ban Gad, and this is the 12 tribe chart breakdown of the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Dealing with the Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians who make up the 12 tribes. So this is going to be the first, okay, of all the tribes that I'm going to do. And without further ado, it's going to be the tribe of Gad first. All right, I'm gonna do a two-part video to the tribe of Gad, this being the first. Okay, because I'm gonna go into a lot of heavy information in here. Not only prove, because I'm gonna prove that all the 12 tribes in general are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are the Hebrew Israelites, but as well as the tribe of Gad being the so-called Native American Indians being of the tribe of Gad of the nation of Israel, Yashra Allah, all right, which is he prince of the power, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna go right into it. I'm gonna go into three things in this video, dealing with the Hebrew language, the language that the Native Americans spoke before they were colonized by the Europeans. Okay, I'm gonna go into, what else am I gonna go into? I'm gonna go into the fact that because people like to say that they look Asian, but I'm gonna prove that they have no correlation or relation to the Chinese people. Okay, the Chinese or the Japanese. I'm gonna go into that. And I'm also gonna go into the fact that because a lot of Afrocentric, a lot of people that are against the 12 tribe charts being the indigenous population of the North, Central, and South America, the indigenous people of those lands being the Native Americans and so-called Native Americans and so-called Hispanics being the 10 tribes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and debunk that as well. So I'm gonna cover all three of these topics in this video right now. Okay, and like I said, this is the official 12 tribe chart breakdown. All right, now with that said, let's go ahead and go into this book first. All right, so I want to go right into just the sources and information. Okay, now this is the book, James Adair, and this is a beat up copy, but it is the other copy. This is a copy of James Adair's American Indians book, or James Adair's History of the American Indians, I should say. All right. So, and this is a good copy. This is a good book to have to understanding the origins of the Native American Indians being Hebrew Israelites, okay, being Hebrews, because this man spent 40 years amongst the Native American tribes, I believe. Well, I don't know which tribes. I haven't read this book since last year, but he goes heavy, okay, so I'm gonna go right into it. All right, about the book. So this is the beginning of the book. All right, published in London in 1775 and printed in the United States in 1930 for the first time. This is a detailed and fascinating account of the principal tribes of the Indians of the Southeast and of their countries. It is regarded by ethnologists and historians as reliable authority on the Southern Indians as well as on Southern history. All right, so just giving you a brief history on this. All right, so I'm gonna skip to where I've highlighted the main information. A man of liberal education and persuasion, speaking of James Adair, and an agent or trader under George III, James Adair set out not only to write all he knew about the physical qualities, dress, and temper of the Indians, but also to prove his theory that the Indians were lineal descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay, and it goes on, and so that's what in this book he references several accounts. And remember, this man dwelt among the Native American Indians for 40 years, in particular the ones in the Southeast. Okay, so he would have a really good insight, all right, of the characteristics. As I read on, Adair writes I shall endeavor to prove from their religious rites, civil and martial customs, their marriages, funeral ceremonies, manners, language, traditions, and a variety of particulars. Okay, so I'm gonna skip down. All right, and like I said, I'm gonna go back into this book. I might flip flop from this book to another book, but I'm gonna bring out the information. All right. In their common belief in Jehovah, the Indian YAHWAH, which is Yahawah, Adir says they pay no religious worships to sticks or stones after the manner of the old Eastern pagans. Neither do they worship any kinds of images whatsoever. So this is according to his account. Okay. But there is variations of the name YAHAWAH. Okay. Because really that's the name that the Native American Indians really said. It was YAHAWAH. And there were different variations, different break-offs of certain of the languages. And I'm going to actually break that down right now. Because I'm going to go into certain sections of this book. Actually, I'm going to stay in this book. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to... Because just dealing with the name, because there are certain people that will say, oh, well, the name's YAHWAH, or it's my bad, the name is, what's the one, a higher or something like that. Really, it's YAHWAH, okay? And it was in all these different languages that the Native American Indians spoke, and all the different tribes and families, all of them had their different variations and break-offs of the Hebrew language, okay? So we're going to go ahead and go into that right now. All right, this is page 40 of this book. This is argument 5. The Indian language and dialects appear to have the very idiom ingenious of the Hebrew. Their words and sentences are expressive, concise, emphatical, all right, sonorous, and bold, and often both in letters and signification, synonymous with the Hebrew language. You see, right? I'm gonna stop right there. So he's saying that all their dialects and languages are synonymous with the Hebrew language. Okay, and like I said, all the different tribes had different break-offs and different variations of the Hebrew. Even though the Hebrew name YAHWAH, all right, because it's not Yahweh, it's Yahawah. Okay, and I'm gonna further prove that as we continue. It is a common and old remark that there is no language in which some Hebrew words are not to be found. Probably Hebrew was the first and only language till distance of time and place introduced a change, and then soon followed a mixture of others. The accidental position of the characters might also coincide with some Hebrew words in various dialects without the least intention. Okay, so obviously that's just proving the fact that there's different dialects of there's different broken dialects of the Indian language of dating back to the Hebrew. And it said originally, right? Let me read that last part. Probably Hebrew was the first and only language till distance of time and place introduced a change, and then soon followed a mixture of others. So Hebrew was the number one language. That's what the indigenous population of North, Central, and South America spoke, which was Hebrew. Okay? There's no getting around that. All right? According to this man's observation. Now, actually, you know what? Let me stop right here in this book, and let me get this book, Feats in Wisdom of the Ancients. Okay? So I'm gonna go right ahead into this book, further proving that they spoke Hebrew. All right, and they were writing Paleo Hebrew. Okay, not this Yiddish, not this Assyrian form of Hebrew, which actually some of them did, but primarily was the Paleo Hebrew. All right, the original Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew. Okay, and this is page, was it 113? Yes, this is page 113. Okay. Just flip the page over. 114. This 113. All right. And it says, in this section it reads, the ancient Hebrews of Tennessee. All right. So let's go ahead and read this part. It says, throughout the river valleys of the southeastern United States lie hundreds of man-made earthen mounds in which American Indians laid their dead to rest. But in one such mound, all right, speaking of this mound right here, and you know, brothers and sisters that are into this knowledge, that are years into this knowledge, you know that's Paleo Hebrew. Especially this character right here. This is Yah. This is Yah right here. Let's continue on though. All right. So, yeah, so I'm going to continue back on right here. But in one such mound, according to some researchers, there are none or non-Indian remains as well. The bones of Jewish refugees who may have fled the brutal Roman occupation of Palestine in the 1st century AD. Now, I'm going to go into that in the second video to prove, because what you have to understand is during that time in Jerusalem, okay, so I'm just giving it further edification, it was just Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And Judah is the so-called Negroes of today. Benjamin is the West Indian, Jamaicans, and Haitians, and Trinidadians, the people, the slaves that came on cargo slave ships, transported to the Caribbean islands. Okay, and the Haitians are the so-called Haitians are the Levites. Okay, so they were over there in Jerusalem at that time, because according to 1 Kings 17, when they kicked all of the northern kingdom pretty much out of the land. And also too, going into this book, the Apocrypha, like I said in the second video, I'm going to go into that, how they sailed over here to the Americas. Okay. So, and sailed over here to the Americas, and them being the northern kingdom, being the 10 tribes coming over from the Assyrian captivity all the way down, sailing down out of the river of the Euphrates and sailing down the Horn of Africa all the way to the Americas. All right, so I'm gonna prove that in the next video. So I just want to give you an understanding on that. So the Negroes didn't come. The so-called Negroes, or the Southern Kingdom, the Jews didn't come over here until they were brought over here on cargo slave ships. Just to give you an enlightenment on that, so no one gets crazy. All right, so continuing on, this tomb first came to light in 1889 when a team from the Smithsonian Institution excavated 3 burial mounds along Back Creek in London County, Tennessee. 9 skeletons were found in one mound, two of them set apart from the other 7. Beneath one of these skeletons lay several unusual artifacts, among them a stone tablet bearing 9 carved letters. The director of the mound excavation project, a man by the name of Cyrus Thomas, decided that the inscription contained letters of the Cherokee alphabet, which had been devised around 1820 by the Cherokee scholar Sequoyah. Okay, so continuing on, the bones in the tablet were sent to the Smithsonian for later consideration. Thomas published his report in 1894, and there the matter seemed to rest. Okay, so they put this to rest because of someone that was translating the Cherokee alphabet. But let's see what this paragraph says. But in the 1950s, archaeologist Joseph Mahan happened upon a picture of the Back Creek tablet and reached a conclusion remarkably more exotic than Thomas's. Mahan knew Hebrew. My bad. Let me go back. Mahan knew the Cherokee alphabet, and as he wrote later, could see no relation whatever between the symbols on the stone and those developed by Sequoyah. What Mahan did see upon turning the picture of the stone upside down was a striking similarity between several of the letters in ancient Canaanite writing. And we know that the Canaanites spoke Hebrew. They wrote Hebrew. There's during the time of the land of conquering the land of Canaan. During that time, you know, we ended up destroying Canaan. Okay, what was it? Deuteronomy the 7th chapter. Yeah, Deuteronomy. Yeah, I believe the Deuteronomy the 7th chapter, when we was during the time of Joshua, when we took over those lands, we ended up taking them over. But they spoke Hebrew, even though they were of Hamitic stock, so-called Africans. They did speak Hebrew. Okay, they weren't Hebrew. They weren't Hebrews. You know, they weren't of the 5 or 6 nations of Hebrews like us being Hebrew Israelites. But they did speak Hebrew. And they were actually, some of them actually assimilated into the population of Israel, if you do your research. Actually, let me go ahead and get a scripture real quick. Let me get something in Isaiah to prove that fact, okay? Go ahead and go into Isaiah. Okay, so yeah, Isaiah chapter 19, verse 18. In that day, speaking of the days that we live in now, shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt, okay, speaking of the current Egypt, which is America, speak the language of Canaan and swear to the Lord of hosts, making a vow to, or making an oath to the Lord. That's what swear means. Swear to the Lord of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. So that's the brothers that prophesy on the street corners. So that, and you know, the brothers on the street corners, this is prophecy right here in America, because Egypt is slavery, it's bondage, right? And America is that modern day Egypt. You see brothers throughout the 4 corners of the earth, but primarily in America, teaching this word and teaching Hebrew. All right, at least majority of the Israelite groups out there, a majority of the Hebrew Israelites that are on the street corners teaching. Okay, so that's straight out the Bible. So the language of Canaan is Hebrew. Okay, and we don't have to go too deep in that, but I just want to bring that quick scripture out. No expert in Semitic languages, Mahan sent a photograph to Semitic language scholar Cyrus Gordon, who confirmed Mahan's observation. The characters said Gordon were from a Hebrew dialect dating to about the 1st century AD. They translated as a comet for the Jews. So this monument over here in the Americas, obviously Paleo Hebrew, you can clearly see that. Okay, they found this monument. They have this have nothing but Hebrew on it. Okay, so with that said, let me go ahead and go to my laptop real quick. I'm gonna pull this up. Slakia. I'm gonna pull this up. First, I want to show you this Hebrew chart right here. People like to call it the Lashman Kodash, which means holy tongue, but it is just Paleo Hebrew. It's just a term because it is a holy tongue that we speak. It's what the whole world used to speak. But obviously, you can see. Actually, I'm gonna use a better one than this one. Slakia. Better one, so you can have a better better observation. Ancient Paleo Hebrew: Ka ya ta ka za wa ha da ba a tha sha ba ka kwa taza pa I sa na ma la. And then you see the modern Hebrew that a lot of these fake Jewish people speak. All right, these Khazars speak, which is the Assyrian Hebrew. See that, or a revamped Yiddish version. All right, so you can see that these characters match the characters on here clearly. All right. Now, let's go to the Decalogue stone real quick. Now, this Decalogue stone right here, you see right here, Moses. This is something that they found over there in Ohio. Now you see, this is Moses, and obviously you can tell this is a black man. I think he got a headband on, but this is definitely a black man. You know, obviously from the tribe of Levi, so-called Haitian. If he was walking around, he'd be a Haitian today. But you clearly see the description, but not only that, you can see Hebrew on it. And this might be the Assyrian Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken, because you got to remember, even over here when they were speaking Hebrew, like I said, over time, you know, the writing and the language and the dialect kind of dissipated. So it was a lot of these versions of Hebrew that they were speaking, or the language that we were speaking, were broken Hebrew. All right, so you can see these symbols, right? See like this one right here. Clearly see that it matches the ones over here, clearly. All right. Now I want to show you this one. There's another one over there. Actually, let me go back. Let me just view the image. So look at that. Look at this image right here. Another part of the deck stone, right? Ohio stones the stones that they found over there in Ohio. You see the Paleo Hebrew on that? So if the Native Americans were not Hebrews, why is there Hebrew writings on their monuments? And you know, I can show a lot of different ones. I know I've seen some before from brothers from other camps in the past do sit downs and lessons on it before, showing Paleo Hebrew written on some of the totem poles, etc. Okay, all throughout America. Clearly see that. Let me just go back to this one over here. You can clearly see these characters match these characters on this stone right here. Clearly. Okay. So with that said, I want to go back into this book. And I want to pull out. Now I want to show this part in the book, History of the American Indians by James Adair. In page 55, I want to show this real quick. We are told that the northern Indians in the time of their rejoicings repeat YAHAWAH, which, if true, evidences that their corruption advances in proportion as they distance from South America and wanted a friendly intercourse with those who had an open communication with those southern regions. Okay, so you know, it goes on to say the Chilean Indians, but I want to skip down to this verse. Skip down to this paragraph right here. I shall hereafter, under another argument, show that the Indians variously transpose, shorten, and lengthen each syllable of the great divine name YAHWAH in a very extraordinary manner. So right here, it says that they shortened and made different variations to the name YAHWAH, which really is Yahawah, okay? But like you read up here, YAHWAH, and right here it says YAHWAH, which is Yahawah, in the proper pronunciation, because that's the name that they were calling on, that they shortened it and they made different variations of it, okay? Let me read that again. I shall hereafter, under another argument, show that the Indians variously transpose, shorten, and lengthen each syllable of the great divine name YAHWAH in a very extraordinary manner when they are singing and dancing to and before the divine essence, in that they commonly derive such words as convey a virtuous idea from, or compound them with that or compound them with that that divine essential name. Okay, so they have different versions of the name. All right, now just real quick, I want to make sure that no one gets this misconstrued or confused. The Native American Indians of North, Central, and South America are all brothers. Okay, North American Indians, the Aztec Indians, Mayans, Inca Indians, all these people from North, Central, South America are brothers, and they're of the Northern Kingdom. Okay, just so nobody wants to say, oh, they're different or whatever. Let me go ahead and read this. This is out of page 211. All right. This alone, without any reflection on the rest, is a good glass to show us that the South and North American Indians are twin-born brothers. Though the Spanish clergy, by their dark but fruitful inventions, have set them at a prodigious variance. So, the Spanish writers and whatnot try to make them out as different people when they're really all one and the same. They're all brothers and sisters. We are all brothers and sisters from North, Central, and South America. All right, of the 12 tribes of the nation, the 10 lost tribes of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. So, going back to the name. All right, I want to show this particular video. Let's see, I want to go to this particular video right here. All right. And this video right here is just cold because this proves that even in Esau's movie, because you can go into the movie Casino and they'll reference, oh yeah, the Native Americans are the lost 10 tribes of are the lost tribes of Israel. Okay, they'll show you that in these films. But also what they'll show you is them pronouncing the name YAHAWAH, and also too speaking Paleo Hebrew, or how like brothers from the old school like to call it the Lashwan Kodash, which is the Holy Tongue. All right, now let's go ahead and play this.
It's good to be here, John. I've heard that a dark cloud has fallen on the white path you were walking. It is good that you have turned your thoughts to the Cherokee. It was caused by YAHAWAH. We are in trouble, Reuben.
Now you hear that? He said, oh, my bad. Let me play that again. My bad.
We are in trouble, Reuben. And YAHAWAH has sent you to give us counsel.
He said, YAHAWAH. My bad.
We are in trouble, Reuben. It is good that you have turned your thoughts to the Cherokee. It was caused by YAHAWAH. We are in trouble, Reuben. And YAHAWAH has sent you to give us counsel.
Now you hear that? He said YAHAWAH. All right. So as it's the closest to the proper pronunciation, but they had like I read in the book, they had different pronunciations of it. They had different versions of different dialects, and obviously the different tribes had different dialects, but they all called on that particular name in some way, form, or fashion. YAHAWAH, you know what I'm saying? And they put this in the movies, thinking that our people would never wake up to this. you know. Let me show this particular clip right here, dealing with this clip. I believe it's, I forget, I do remember this movie. It's something about the West. I forget, but I do remember. I'd have to find the information on this mini series, but I do remember watching a little bit of it.
Tugashila Oshimalayo. 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 Tugashila
Now you hear that? YAHAWAH by Yeshaya. Now those aren't the names of the Lord, the name of Yahweh, and the name of, because really it's supposed to be YAHAWAH by YAHAWASHI, which is the Most High in the name of His Son YAHAWASHI, but YAHAWAH by Hashem Yeshaya. Let me play that back just in case you didn't hear it. Salagna YAHAWAH. You hear that? YAHAWAH by Hashem Yeshaya. So you hear this, man. You clearly hear them speaking Hebrew in this clip. Salagna YAHAWAH by Hashem Yeshaya. The Wada. Or okay. So I mean, right there, it's just they putting it right in our brothers and sisters' faces. You know what I'm saying? Never to expect our people would ever wake up to this thing, but I mean, it's clear as day. Okay. To the fact that people like to say, "Oh, well, Native American Indians and whatnot, they look Asian. They have that Asian appearance." Well, the one thing you got to remember is that there was a time where they were mixing in with Ammon, or in particular with the Chinese when the Chinese came over here as immigrants, I believe during the 16 or 1700s, doing their different trade and businesses when they were over here, and they did mix in with them. But even going further back, it has something to do with the scriptures, and I'm actually going to go into it right now. Is this let's see, Jeremiah 49? Yeah, Jeremiah 49. All right, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 1. concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord. And the Ammonites, just for you, so you people don't understand that the Ammonites are the so-called Japanese. That's the biblical nationality, just like their twin brother from Lot and his daughters laying with him. All right, getting them drunk and laying with him. Slakia. Ammon is one of the brothers, okay? Moab is the Chinese of today. That's the biblical nationality of the Chinese. Ammon is the biblical nationality of the Japanese, all right? Now, let me read this. Jeremiah 49:1. Concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord, have Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doeth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? This was during the time when Israel was getting pushed out the land, okay? In particular, the Gadites, all right? Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh were beginning to be pushed to the eastern part, and that's in the book, The Japanese Origins of the Hebrew Israelites, or something. I'm paraphrasing the name of the book, but I do have it, but I'm not using that for this lesson. But that's where that happened. That's what happened to in particular, the Northern Kingdom as a whole. They ended up becoming overrun by different nations during the time of the Assyrian Empire, and they started to mix in with the different nations. Okay, so that explains why when you when you deal with all the indigenous people, but especially when you deal with the tribe of Gad, you see a lot of they have an Asian type of appearance, and they have but outside of that race mixing, and outside of all that, the ones that who forefathers descend from the actual native people of the Americas are the 10 tribes, regardless of how they look. Okay, so just to give you an understanding on that, and I'm gonna go into this book again, The American Indians by James Deere. I'm gonna go to page 13, further proving that, if they look alike, then they must have the same customs and culture. Well, that's not the case, because Africans and Negroes have a very similar look to them. Even though brothers, that are, if you've been around black people long enough, you can tell the difference, obviously, but people will make that distinction. People will make that comparison, but we know that Negroes and Africans look nothing alike. So it's the same thing with dealing with the indigenous people of North, Central, and South America, and especially the Native American Indians, the tribe of Gad, looking like, Chinese or Japanese people, or Asian people in particular. So, like I said, page 13, and I'm going to skip all the way down to this paragraph. Both the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Indians actually, it's my bad. I'm going to skip all the way down. My bad. Some have supposed, skip to this paragraph, some have supposed the Americans to be descended from the Chinese, but neither, now listen good to this, but neither their religion, laws, customs, etc. agree in the least with these other Chinese, which sufficiently proves they are not of that line. Besides, as our best ships now are almost half a year in sailing to China or from thence to Europe, it is very unlikely they should attempt such dangerous discoveries in early time with their supposed small vessels against rapid currents and in dark, sickly monsoons, especially as it is very probable they were unacquainted with the use of the lodestone to direct their course. China is above 8,000 miles distance from the American continent, which is twice as far as across the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm gonna stop right there. So right here, he's telling you straight up that their customs, their cultures, everything about them have no relation. Okay, and that them crossing that particular land, I believe the Pacific Ocean, from America to Japan or China, that it would be it would be impossible for them to do so, even especially with the technology of the boats that they were using to sail over those rough winds. They would really drown or sink or being engulfed by them strong waves, man. According to this man, okay. And he said that it would be a better travel from the Atlantic Ocean. All right, so there you have it right there. That according to this guy who lived among our people for 40 years, he's telling you there's no relation or correlation to the customs, cultures, and rights and everything that they were doing whatsoever. All right, so that's case closed on that. And we are not informed by any ancient writer of their maritime skill or so much as any inclination that way besides small coasting voyages. Okay, so yeah, they weren't. So according to him, they were, and according to him, and according to him dealing with, our people and them telling him, there was no way that they were going over there and sailing over there like how they would be able to do it now. Okay, it would be impossible for them and their technology to do so. All right. The winds blow likewise with little variation from east to west within the latitudes of 30 and odd, north and south, and therefore they could not drive them out on the American coast, it lying directly contrary to such a course. All right, so I'm gonna keep reading. This is good. There's a lot of good information right here. All right. Neither could persons sail to America from the north by the way of Tartary, or ancient China, which is an ancient name for China, right? Or ancient Scythia, all right, which is above Parthia, pretty much all on that eastern side, all right? That from its situation never was or can be a maritime power, and it is utterly impracticable for any to come to America by seas from that quarter. Besides, the remaining traces of their religious ceremonies and civil and martial customs are quite opposite to the like vestiges of the old Scythians. All right. So he's telling you right here, man, that there's no correlation and there's no way for them to possibly travel over there, man. All right. Let's see. Let me read this part. Nor even in the moderate northern climate is it to be seen the least vestige of any ancient stately buildings or of any thick settlements as are said to remain in the less healthy regions of Peru and Mexico. Several of the Indian nations assure us they crossed the Mississippi before they made their present northern settlements, which connected with the former argument will sufficiently explode that weak opinion of the American Aborigines being lineally descended from the Tartars or ancient Scythians. So he's smashing this. So right here, this smash that holds logic. He's smashing it right here. Okay, by the information he was given by our brothers and sisters. Okay, I'm gonna read the rest of this. From the most exact observation I can make in the long time I traded among the Indian Americans, I was forced to believe them lineally descended from the Israelites, either while they were a maritime power or soon after the general captivity. The latter, however, is the most probable. This descent I shall endeavor to prove from their religious rites, civil and martial customs, their marriages, funeral ceremonies, manners, language, traditions, and variety of particulars, which will at the same time make the reader thoroughly acquainted with nations of which it may be said to this day very little have been known. So he's concluding that there's no way possible, shape, or form that they even came over here by that way. Okay, them sailing from China all the way over to the Americas or any of that nonsense. All right, and further proving more of the fact of them coming over by the Atlantic coast or by the Atlantic Ocean. You know what I'm saying? Just, and like I said, I'm gonna break that down in the second video and showing you that they actually sailed over here to the Americas by the eastern side, not through the Pacific. Okay, just give me an understanding on that part. So I'm gonna go into proving that the Native American Indians, not only of the tribe of Gad, but of all the indigenous people, also took part of the transatlantic slave trade. Further debunking these Afrocentric, black-only Hebrew Israelite people or ideology, and debunking these naysayers of the 10 tribes being the Native Americans of North, Central, South America, which are the Native American Indians and Hispanics. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go into this book, Black Indians by William Lorenz Catt. All right, so with that, let me go ahead and go into this part of the book. Page 27, chapter, It Began with Columbus. I'm going to go to where it's highlighted. The Christopher Columbus, whose unique seamanship and courage had opened the Americas to European penetration, also began. Let me start that sentence all over. Start at the top. The Christopher Columbus, whose unique seamanship and courage had opened the Americas to European penetration, also began the transatlantic slave trade. So, the transatlantic slave trade, which is famed and very popular, is very famed and well known for having black people, Negroes that were captured and transported from West Africa to America to serve slavery. It began with the Native American Indians, of North, Central, and South America. Okay, it's telling you right here, it began the transatlantic slave trade. Let me go ahead and keep reading. He started by shipping 10 chain Arawak men and women, from the tribe of Manasseh, the Cubans, to Seville, Spain. Don't know how to pronounce that. In 1498, he wrote enthusiastically to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella about the business possibilities. From here, in the name of the Blessed Trinity, we can send all the slaves that can be sold. When he loaded 1,100 Taino men and women abroad for Spanish ships. And the crowding in the stormy Atlantic crossing took a fearful toll. Only 300 survived, but Columbus and Spain had decided to continue the profitable slave trade from the Americas. Seville became the slave capital of Spain. Okay, so right here, man, this proves without a shadow of a doubt that, if the Negroes took part in the transatlantic slave trade and the Native American Indians took part of the transatlantic slave trade, then guess what? We would have to be brothers, because according to prophecy, and I'm going to get that scripture real quick. Actually, let me go ahead and get that scripture real quick. I'm gonna hold that. But what that proves is that we, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, are all one and the same. We all went into slavery and captivity and were slaughtered by this so-called white man, and were put in captivity by these other nations along with the so-called white man. But the primary nucleus, I should say, of our captivity is through the so-called white man. Okay. Now let me go ahead and get this. This is a gem I found last year. Ironically, I did. It was at the library. I was with the deacon at one time, so I ended up buying this book for $2.50 or something like that. But this is a really good book to have, understanding the North American Indians, all the different tribes from the vast lands of North America and Canada. America's fascinating Indian heritage. All right, the first Americans, their customs, art, history, and how they live. Like I said, a great book to have. But I'm gonna go into this particular section for this particular topic. All right. I'm going to go to the French relationships. Yeah, okay. So I want to go into page 77 of this book. And I want to go ahead and go to where I highlighted, or to what I highlighted, I should say. All right, dealing with the French and Indian relations. As would happen so often in the history of Indian and white affairs, the friendship that characterized the early relations between the French and the Natchez soon turned sour. In 1729, the French governor ordered the Natchez to excavate their main village so that he might build himself a plantation on its site. Quite naturally, the Natchez resisted at first, verbally and finally with action. In a surprise attack with the autumn of that year, the Natchez fell upon the French and massacred some 200 of them. Among the victims was the governor, who was beaten to death. All right. The French, from their newly built redoubt at New Orleans, soon struck back, sending troops into Natchez territory with the help of the Choctaw allies, crushed their enemies. Eventually, a large group of the Natchez, including the Great Sun, surrendered. Some were burned at the stake as a warning to other Indians, but most were shipped off. Let me read that again. But most were shipped off in slavery to labor in the plantations of Santo Domingo in the Caribbean. With the destruction of the Natchez, the final chapter in the history of the Mississippian culture came to a close. So guess what? They went into captivity. They went on slave ships to serve slavery too. Let's go ahead and go into Deuteronomy 28, because this correlates not only with the so-called Negroes going on cargo slave ships, but guess what? From what I just read out of this book, all right, America's Indian Heritage, a fascinating Indian heritage in the Black Indians book, it proves that the Northern Kingdom also went on cargo slave ships as well, man. All right. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and go into it. This is Deuteronomy chapter. My bad. Deuteronomy chapter 28, and I'm going to start at verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, that thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So guess what? In Egypt, that Egypt is speaking of America, but also that Egypt in particular is a two-way meaning to that, because not only does it represent America, because that America is the prison camp and enslavement of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel as a whole. But the word Egypt is matazarium, which pretty much means bondage. Okay, in the Hebrew, as well as in the Greek, it's Egyptos, which is bondage, basically slavery. Okay, so they would be. So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, bring thee back into Egypt in slavery again with ships. And guess what? The 12 tribes of Israel were in slavery in Egypt, not just in the southern kingdom, but the northern kingdom as well. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Speaking of that Egypt. So this current Egypt is a brand new Egypt. So we wouldn't go to that Egypt in slavery. We would be going to another Egypt in slavery, which is America and its provinces. Okay. So, and I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, which means no man shall redeem you. So guess what? According to this information right here that I brought out, you can go replay the video. Guess what? According to this information, they went on cargo slave ships. They went into slavery as well, proving that the Native American Indians in fact are under the curses as well and went into slavery as well. So actually, let me go ahead and get another, just to conclude this video, because like I said, I'm gonna do a second part to this, going into scriptural breakdown and a little bit more information as well. Let me go ahead and go into this. I'm gonna get all the meat out the bone in this video, man. You know, for the edification of brothers and sisters. All right, so going back into the book, James Adair, History of the American Indian. I'm gonna go into page 227 to close this video. I presume enough have been said to the point, my bad, I'm gonna reread that. I presume enough have been said to point out the similarity between the rights and customs of the Native American Indians and those of the Israelites, and that the Indian system is derived from the moral, ceremonial, Judaical laws of the Hebrews. Though now but a faint copy of the divine original, their religious rites, martial customs, dress, music, dances, and domestic forms of life seem clearly to evidence also that they came to America in early times, before sects had sprung up among the Jews, which was soon after their prophets ceased, and before art and science had arrived to any perfection. Otherwise, it is likely they would have retained some knowledge of them, at least where they first settled, it being in a favorable climate. And you know, Salakia, that's the point. Okay, so just further proving, beating the dead horse that the Native American Indians are the tribe of Gad, and like I said, I'm gonna do the second video to this, man. So with that said, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWASHI. Till the next video, it's Rayabya Ban Gad. I want to say shalom.